Yo, what is up, everybody? It is Riley's Redzone here, back with another YouTube video, here to present to you 2020 NFL mock draft. This is going to be my only one, as we're only, I believe, 5 days away at the time I'm recording this right now. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I've tried to record this twice, and I still feel it wasn't amazing. It was over an hour long, but I felt, I can make it even better, maybe a little bit more concise, and make sure I give some details as well about some of these, especially the top guys. So let's explain a little bit about what the logic is behind these picks and sort of what's going on here. So, I will say this right away. I haven't uploaded in a week, partly because I've been working on this mock draft for most of the week. What that means as well is that a lot of news has come out. So, some of these players I have now gotten lower on, higher on, will go higher, will go lower, that type of thing. But in this draft, it's more of an what I would do mock draft. There's obviously a lot of rumors going around. Some of those will become true in this video. But at the same time, it's off of my draft rankings. And I've got to admit, I've got my own opinion on most of the guys in the first round and beginning of the second round. But once you get sort of past that, past the third round, I really don't know a bunch of players, so a lot of it is based off of my board, which is based off of some of my favorite draft YouTubers. I've also got a magazine source, other websites. I have Pro Football Focus, and there's the Draft Network. So there's a lot of sources that went into that. So the last rounds are sort of a little bit my opinion, but also a lot of sources. This one's going to be special because it's not just like, oh, I picked the Vikings and I do a 7-round mock draft, the Cardinals, whatever. It's going to be me making all 256 picks as if I'm the GM of all of the 32 teams. And this has trades. I will say that trades sort of don't continue past the 4th round, but maybe 3rd round, but they do have some trades here in this 1st round, 2nd round, and a little bit in the 3rd round. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's get right into round number 1 of the 7-round mock draft. First pick here is very clear to me. The Bengals go with Joe Burrow. If they don't, it's going to take a lot to get up to the number 1 pick, and the Bengals would really not have to be in love with Burrow and be more content with a Tua or a Herbert. But looking at, I'm going to have other options for some teams that, I have my main pick, but some of them will be split decisions. But on this one, yes, it is possible the Dolphins, it sounds like they're in love with Joe Burrow. Also, we have recently heard that they tried to get Tua out for a visit before the whole coronavirus hit, and that was unfortunate for them because obviously Tua has the big injury concern here. But be prepared for Joe Burrow here, number 1. If he doesn't go here, it's going to be a huge shock. The only team, I put the Panthers up there just because of the connection with Joe Brady, but realistically the Dolphins are the only team that could trade up to number 1, and because they have the capital to do so. But looking at Joe Burrow, he's a great player. Obviously only had 1 season of success, but when he played this season, he was spectacular. And he made NFL-level throws in college. He's throwing it into tight windows. Obviously, there's a bit of concern about the arm, but to me, there isn't really. He's got a strong enough arm to make all the throws needed in the NFL. So to me, he's just right now a home run prospect, clear number 1 player in this draft, and this would be a great pick for the Bengals. Number 2, we have the Washington Redskins taking edge rusher Chase Young. This is a prime trade down candidate here. If the Dolphins or another team love Tua, this could be where a trade happens. But I have the Redskins sitting here taking the best player available on the board, which is Chase Young, edge rusher out of Ohio State. Obviously, Rivera is a defensive guy, and I think that this could add a lot to his defense. Obviously, you have a lot of talented people on that defensive line, but Chase Young is possibly the best player in this draft, best player available for sure, and he would upgrade any team in the whole entire league. So this is a good pick for the Redskins. Bum bum bum, we got a trade here. This is where I'm going to have the Dolphins. Moving up to number 3, the Detroit Lions trading down. Quick, I'm going to note, You could see Jeff Okudah, Isaiah Simmons, or Derek Brown here too, but it's really who they like. Otherwise, this is what I have happening, which is they trade down. They're going to send number 3 and a future 5th. I sort of threw in the 5th there, but they're going to get number 5, number 26, and number 56. If it was a trade to number 2, I would have taken out 56 and included the 18, but since it is only a 2-spot jump, I'm going to have them giving up their 3rd first-round pick and their 2nd round pick at number 56. With that being said, it's Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama. The Dolphins pick him. Obviously, for some teams, he might be slipping down the board. You know, with this whole coronavirus situation, you can't really get physicals for players, and so you sort of have to rely on other doctors, which is not what teams always want to do. So he could have a fall on draft night, but what I have happening here is the Dolphins really like him. Sounds like apparently they're pretty split between Herbert and Tua. To me, Herbert is extremely overrated, and you'll see where I have him in this video. I don't think I like the place that I necessarily put him in, but I don't think he's worth a top 10 pick. Will he go in the top 10? Probably, but I don't think he's worth that. So I have the Dolphins trading up here and getting their guy. Obviously, he's got the concerns with the injuries, as well as he's a lefty. Lefties have not really succeeded much. As a left-handed person myself, I really hope he does. But those are obviously concerns. But to me, you go up, you get your guy, you have your quarterback in the future, and you can sit him behind Ryan Fitzpatrick if you want to for at least, you could go a whole year, but at least a few weeks. And so you can develop him, let him get fully healthy, and go on the field. And he's competed against top talent in his Alabama days. Number 4, this may be a surprise to some of you. I have Isaiah Simmons as my 4th best player on my board. So I have them passing up on Jedrick Wills and Mekhi Becton, but don't be surprised if one of those two goes here. Very realistic that Jedrick Wills could go here, but I have them taking, seems like David Gettleman always loves his unicorns, his special players, and Isaiah Simmons is just that. He is the Swiss Army knife of defense. He's like the Taysom Hill of a defensive player. He can play middle linebacker, and I know they brought in Blake Martinez and other guys, but I don't like Blake Martinez and whoever else they signed. I think they need an actual middle linebacker, so they can play him there. Otherwise, they can play him at strong safety, replace Landon Collins, put him opposite Jabril Peppers. You can play him at free safety. You can play him on slot corner. You can match him up against tight ends. You could even put him on the edge for some plays if you want. He's just an all-around player. So that's why I have them going here, but don't be surprised if they go with an offensive tackle on this pick. This is a dream scenario for the Detroit Lions at number 5. If they get lucky like this would be an absolute home run. I'm starting to hear apparently that some teams have Henderson number 1. To me, that's a massive mistake. Okudah is by far the number 1 in my opinion. But this is a great scenario for the Lions. They move back 2 spots and they still get the guy they probably would have taken at 3. And they pick up those extra first-round picks and get a lockdown corner. Obviously, they brought in Desmond Trufant after they traded Darius Slay. But to me, you get those two. I don't think Trufant is as good as Darius Slay. So you get these two together, and now you got a great cornerback duo. They brought in some guys at safety as well. So that secondary starts to look up, and this is just a great scenario for the Lions. So in this case scenario, you could see a flip here, honestly, between Isaiah Simmons and Jedrick Wills. I'm going to say that right away. That's a very possible thing. But what I have happening here is the Chargers, they sort of have said they didn't want to bring in another veteran QB. They probably will draft one at some point. You'll see what I have them doing. But in this situation, I have them taking the best offensive tackle available, which is Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. He's a great pass protector, and I think that they should value getting their offensive line right. They brought in Bulaga, obviously, but I think that they should value getting this offensive line correct before they draft their quarterback. I think that this is very important, and we'll see what teams do. Some will take their quarterback, and others will do this and take their offensive tackle. But to me, he's the best player available, and he's the best offensive tackle on the board. So that's what I have the Chargers doing at number 6. Number 7, I have Derek Brown going to the Panthers from Auburn here. This is sort of just a straight up pick. It's pretty boring. He sort of is falling a little bit in some areas, like people are starting to rise more on Javon Kinlaw because Kinlaw offers a lot more as a pass rusher, and I will give him that. But I still have Derrick Brown as my number 1 defensive tackle. So the Panthers fill a need. As I talked about in their free agency video, they lost a lot of defensive tackles, so they should bring one in, and this is, a very good player to bring in. So like I said, he is falling down draft boards, but in this situation, I had the Panthers sticking here and just taking Derrick Brown out of Auburn. Number 8, for a long time I had this pick being CeeDee Lamb, obviously Kyler's teammate in college. Kyler still wants them to take him, but when you already have Hopkins, Fitzgerald, and Christian Kirk, plus all the guys you drafted last year, to me, you prioritize that tackle position. You put Tristan Wirfs, who's the second best tackle in my opinion, you slap him there at right tackle, opposite DJ Humphries, and you've got a great offense. You got a better offensive line for Kyler. You surround him with great weapons. You still have Kenyon Drake in the backfield, and that makes that offense even better and very explosive going into 2020. We have another trade here, which is the Jaguars moving down. I think the Jaguars are a team that's sort of focusing on the future, and they could roll with Minshew, but you'll see what sort of I have them going with. But you could see a reach here for Herbert. Like I said, he will go top 10 probably, but I don't think he's worth that pick. You could see Kinlaw if they like him, or even CJ Henderson. But I have a trade here, which is the Eagles moving up, and the Jags are going to receive number 21 and 53, as well as a future first-round pick. And the Eagles do this to pick up my number 1 receiver, CeeDee Lamb, out of Oklahoma. I was split between him and Judy. Judy is, I think, a little better route runner, but CeeDee Lamb, I think, is a little quicker and offers more explosion after the catch. So the Eagles go up, get their guy. Obviously, they have Alshon Jeffrey. He's getting older, and he's sort of slower, but he's physical at the catch point. CeeDee Lamb plays like he's a lot bigger, and he's good at the catch point as well. But then Deshaun Jackson's also getting older, so you sort of need to revamp that receiving core. I don't love Arcega-Whiteside either. So this is a good move for the Eagles, moving up and getting their guy. Number 10, I have the Browns picking Andrew Thomas. Yes, I have Andrew Thomas before Mekhi Becton on my board. I have Thomas as the 3rd offensive tackle, and it's ironic that they're drafting another offensive tackle with the last name Thomas. The last time, they did this, they picked Joe Thomas, and this would just be a great fit. You get your left tackle. They're keeping OBJ after all those rumors. At least it seems like he's still good, could get traded, but right now, they have him, they have Landry, they have Chubb, they have Conklin now at right tackle, so now you pick up Andrew Thomas to be your starting left tackle, and you give Baker some weapons to surround him in that offense. Number 11, you could see Mekhi Becton here. Like I said, I'm a little lower on him. He's my offensive tackle 4. You could also see a reach here, which would be Caleb on Chason, but I have them going with Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama. As Lamb goes off the board, this is where the run of receivers sort of starts, and they get Jerry Jeudy to surround Sam Darnold. They lost Robbie Anderson, who was their number 1 receiver in their offense last year, but you give Darnold that weapon again, and he can succeed. Jeudy is a great route runner. I can't emphasize that enough. He is an amazing route runner. Like Julio Jones and Amari Cooper, they can get open right away. This is the type of thing, they're both from Alabama. This is the type of thing that they're producing, and he's great at getting open in the first 3 steps. So this would be a great pick for the New York Jets. Number 12, speed kills. That's what the Raiders do. Obviously, Al Davis, unfortunately he passed away, but what he loved when he drafted was speed. So what they do is they get wide receiver Henry Ruggs III out of Bama. He ran pretty fast. He's probably one of the fastest players in this draft class. And they have a little bit of a need at wide receiver. They tried to get Antonio Brown, and obviously that didn't work out for him. They've got Tyrell Williams there, but you get another receiver, and you see what their division rival Kansas City did with the Chiefs. They have Tyreek Hill, and they won a Super Bowl because of it. So you sort of see that, and you try to get your own guy. So this is what I have the Raiders doing at number 12. Number 13, you may think, why would the Niners literally just take a defensive tackle after they traded this pick? Obviously, they got this pick from DeForest Buckner. Well, in my opinion, in this situation, Javon Kinlaw, I was lower on him. Now I'm rising on him. He's in my top 10 on my board now, but he falls to them. I love Ruggs here. If Ruggs falls to here, this is a great landing spot for him, but he's not on the board. You know, the Raiders took him a pick before, so Kinlaw, honestly, I'm going to say he could have more upside as a pass rusher than DeForest Buckner. Obviously, DeForest Buckner is a great player, but you could get even more upside from Kinlaw, and so you basically just fill that hole again, which, like you guys are probably saying, you just get the same thing, but he's the best player available, and he fits, their need. And he honestly is a great pass rusher, so he could potentially have even more upside than Buckner. So that's why I have them going with Kinlaw here. And this is where the fall of Mekhi Becton stops. Also, there was news yesterday which has changed since I've done the last few recordings, which is that he was tested positive for drugs at the Combine. And I think there were 4 other players or something like that. Obviously, it sounds like there weren't any prior concerns of his, but that's, a little bit, so he could fall here. But, he's still a great player. He's a little overhyped in my opinion, but he's got a lot of power in his game. You see him just maul dudes over. He can also literally knock people over without even bending his knees. He's just got a bunch of power to him. But I'll be interested to see whether he might be able to switch over the right tackle or not. Right now, the Bucs, their best tackle is Donovan Smith. So it'd be interesting to see whether they'd play Becton at left tackle or they'd kick Donovan Smith to right tackle, or if they'd do the opposite and keep Smith at left and put Becton on the right. But we'll see what happens there. He's still a great player in my opinion, a little overhyped, which is why I have him going number 14 here. 15 is where I have C.J. Henderson going. They lost Chris Harris in free agency, so the Broncos here, they get a replacement at corner. He's getting a lot of hype now, apparently, to go in the top 10, and some teams have him above Jeffrey Okudah, which is just a mistake in my opinion. Another place where I love Henry Ruggs here, if he falls. I think it's a little early for Justin Jefferson, but that's a realistic possibility here as well. But I have them just going with one of the best players available, C.J. Henderson. Fits a need. They lost Chris Harris, and they have A.J. Boye, so you slap him on the other side, and there you go. You sort of patch that hole back up. 16 is where I have the Falcons going with edge rusher K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU. He's slipping down boards a little bit, but to me he fits what they're looking for on defense. I think he could be a little similar to Dante Fowler, which is who they brought in free agency, and he can play outside linebacker or defensive end. He's going to rush the passer for him. So I think this is just a good fit. I think he's similar to Dante Fowler, at least like build-wise, speed. So I think that's a good fit here for the Falcons. I've seen Epinesa, but I think that Chaisson is the better player. So at 17, the Cowboys. This is, you could reach for a safety like Xavier McKinney. You'll see where I have him going, which is a little higher than I like. This could also be a trade down, or you could see Justin Jefferson as well here. I've seen that. But I have them going with cornerback Christian Fulton. It's their biggest need after they lost Byron Jones in free agency. So I think you just go here, you go with Christian Fulton out of LSU, and there you go. You sort of fill that hole a little bit. So, speaking of Xavier McKinney, before you get mad here, yes, this is high for him. I have him in the late 20s or early 30s on my board. This is an overdraft. I'm going to say that right away. And obviously this is sort of a mistake, as you're not supposed to draft for needs. But looking at their needs, one of their biggest needs is safety. And I think the Dolphins take this draft, sort of like I have the Jaguars doing this draft, which is just taking the best players available and filling needs. And safety is a big need for them, so they get Xavier McKinney here. So yes, this is an overdraft. He's very close to Delpit for me, so Delpit is a better value, but I couldn't really see another player that fit here, and I think they will value taking somebody over nobody in this draft. So this is who I have going at 18. Okay, Okay, so before you get mad, I don't love this pick either. I'm going to be honest. I don't like Justin Herbert as a player. I think he's worth a late first. To me, it is a requirement, not a possible. It is a requirement, in my opinion, that wherever he goes, he needs to sit for at least a little bit. So, once again, stealing from your division rival ideas here. You look at what the Chiefs did with Mahomes. I am not going to compare Herbert to Mahomes. I'm not doing that. But he's got a good arm, and you could literally sit him for a year behind Carr, probably behind Mariota. You could have him compete for the backup job, but you just have him learn. He's a West Coast kid. He needs lots of time to me to just learn. He's not ready as a prospect. So I very much considered having the Chargers trading up here, but I just couldn't find a trade that necessarily worked. Value-wise, they don't have another first-round pick. They'd have to mortgage a lot of their draft and probably some future picks. So I just didn't see that working out, and it was an in-division trade. But I definitely considered that. But I have Herbert going 19 here to the Raiders. Don't love the pick. But if there's any place that he could go, I think the Raiders make sense. He can sit behind someone. But at this point, he's probably going to go top 10. Could even go before Tua, which I disagree with. But that's what it sounds like. Trade again, the Jaguars here 2 times in a row. Trade back. I think they're valuing just picks. Give us picks. And here they don't have to move that far down. So they're going to receive number 2488. So they receive a first. You get a third as well, and you get a fifth, I believe, so you get some picks here, and you only have to move 4, and I know a lot of you like Patrick Queen going to the Saints, because that keeps him in Louisiana, but I personally have Kenneth Murray listed ahead, and wherever Kenneth Murray goes, I think Patrick Queen would go next, but that's sort of in the mid-20s, so the Saints here, they jump ahead, and they make sure they get their guy. I know they could like Patrick Queen better, but to me, I have Kenneth Murray ahead. He's a great linebacker, and he can also play a little bit of edge rush if you want as well. So I have Kenneth Murray higher on my board, which is why I have them going with Murray and not Patrick Queen. Number 21 is a good value for the Jaguars. I don't know why so many people are getting lower on Grant Delpit, but 21 is where I have him going, and I like this pick for the Jaguars. You trade down, you keep getting picks, and you get a good player. Great value here with Delpit. He's close to me with McKinney for being the number 1 safety, so this is just a good value pick for both sides here. This is sort of a dream scenario. I'm going to point that out right there. Yes, I am a Vikings fan, but this is not trying to be biased here, but I will say this is a great pick. And in this situation, I thought I have Jefferson late teens, early 20s, and the few picks ahead of this, don't really need wide receivers. So Jefferson in this case scenario falls to the Vikings, and this is obviously a great pick for them. It's funny, once again, like the Niners, how they picked Kinlaw to replace Buckner. Here they take their Diggs replacement. So you could very much see I like Jefferson to the Broncos, but it's a little bit of an overdraft. I think Henderson's better there. Same thing to the Cowboys. I think Fulton is better there, but you could see it there. I think if the Eagles are not able to trade up, or if Lamb, Ruggs, and Judy go before him, and the Eagles are not able to get one of them, you can see the Eagles go with him at 21, but I have the Vikings going with him at 22. And wow, this is just a nice scenario for the Patriots. Obviously, you lose Tom Brady, but you get Jordan Love. And Jordan Love is a guy who, he's got, I think, a lot of potential. He's got possibly the biggest upside of the quarterback class in this draft. He's got, I think, maybe some of the fundamentals. He's got to develop a little bit. So this is another situation. I think if he shows he is the best quarterback in that QB room, you start him ahead of everybody. But you can sit him as well behind Hoyer or Stidham, and he can develop as well. So this is a good pick. And honestly, this is an underrated thing. But honestly, this could be a Josh Rosen situation. I'm being completely honest. If the Patriots are really bad this season, which I think they won't be, but if they are somehow really bad, you can straight up take Love, you can see whether he's your guy or not. And if he's not, you can take Herbert or Fields or whoever else is going to come next year. And then you can take them. And trade him. But I think Love would really succeed in New England. 24. This is an interesting one. I like 25. To me is a good spot for Gladney going to the Vikings. But here, you need a corner in Jacksonville, right? You lose Boye and you lose Ramsey last season. So they need some help in that cornerback room. But if they pass on Henderson and if Fulton is gone, then I have them here going with Gladney, who is my third cornerback. So that's what I have them doing here. Sorry, my fourth cornerback. Forgot about Okudah there, just because Okudah's in his own tier, in my opinion. So he's my third corner behind Okudah, and it's just a nice pick here. You need the corner, you sort of fill that need here, and like I said, they keep trading back for picks. So with Gladney off the board, to me, AJ Terrell is being overhyped as a first-round player. So the Vikings skip the corner. I know that's a little bold, but they go to their next need, which is edge rusher. They lost Everson Griffin. And so they take AJ Epinesa, who I have a little higher than Yetur Gross-Matos. Not by much, but just a little. So they pick him, and then they have Hunter and Epinesa. Epinesa shows a lot of skills to me. He's falling a little bit, but to me, he's still a first-round caliber player. He's got a lot of power to his game. So I have them going with that, 25. And speaking of YGM, here is Yetur Gross-Matos going to the Lions at 26. They need an edge rusher, one of the best players available, and that's just all I gotta say. He's, I've been watching some film on a few of these guys, and he didn't impress me as much as Epinesa. But I think he's still a really good player, first-round caliber, so I have them going with him here at number 26. 27. Now, this is a weird stat I saw. I saw that the Seahawks have traded every first-round pick, since 2012. That's a big streak right there. This is very much an option to trade down. But I think Cesar Ruiz, which I know Seahawks fans, that is a boring pick. But to me, he's the best player available here for their needs. They need that lineman, so they pick him up here, and that's a nice pick for them. Although it's boring, I think it's the right pick. He's the best player available, and I think that he's more valuable than anybody that you can get by trading down. So that's what I have the Seahawks doing here. 28 is where I have Patrick Queen falling to, and this is just a great pick for the Ravens. They just signed Jake Ryan today, but I don't love that signing. And as I mentioned in my Ravens video, they need a middle linebacker badly. They need it. They lost some guys there, so they need that middle linebacker, and in this situation, Queen falls right to him. But you could very much see a switch here between Murray and Queen. It's whatever the team has higher. I personally have Murray above Queen, but that's what I have happening here. In 29, this is a very popular choice, but Zach Bond can play edge rusher or linebacker, a little bit of both. He goes to the Titans here. It's one of their biggest needs. They got rid of Casey. They got, Cameron Wake is still a free agent. Apparently there's a report he was going to retire, but that's not true. They could bring him back, but to me, Zach Bond it fits their need, one of the better players available. So that's what they do here at 29. 30. Mims is getting a lot of hype. I think he is a little overhyped. I still have him as a first-round player, but I don't think he deserves to go top 24. So, you could see him at 25 or later, but I don't think he should go higher than that. So I am going right here, number 30, to the Packers. Obviously, wide receiver is the biggest need. They might even draft two of them. It's a big need for them. And also tight end is a big need for them. You'll see what I have them doing later, but they just need weapons on that offense to surround Aaron Rodgers. 31. This one's a weird one. Mims is a great option there, but in this situation, he's gone. And I think you look between two players. I think you look at Laviska Shenault. The report today is, according to a doctor, he'll be ready by April 25th, I think it was. So he'll be ready basically by the end of the draft. But to me, there's still a little bit of injury concern there. So you go with Jalen Johnson, cornerback out of Utah. You add to that DB room, and it's just, I love Jalen Johnson at 32. But in this situation, you could see the Niners go with a wide receiver, which is why I put Shenault on there. But I value the healthy corner over the risky wide receiver with the injuries. So that being said, a little bit of a surprise here, but the Chiefs can do whatever they want at 32. They can take basically anybody. They could take the pizza man. They could take the water boy. They could also take a good player. They can do whatever they want. They have literally no needs, basically. I mean, there's some needs, but they won the Super Bowl. I think they still need linebacker, a little bit of corner help, but I have them going best player available, which is running back DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. Like I said, they can do pretty much whatever they want, so running back is something I could see them doing here. So I have them going with DeAndre Swift out of Georgia, and that's going to conclude the first round. So now we'll move into the second round. Okay, we're going to go on ahead and start round number 2 of this 2020 NFL mock draft. So, the Bengals, once again, I love teams that have the first pick of the second round. I mean, honestly, it's like you get the best player available from who fell out of day one. So, to me, they have 2 positions they could go here. They could go offensive tackle. I do not like Bobby Hart at right tackle for them. So you could see Josh Jones or Austin Jackson here, but I have them going wide receiver. I think they add another one, and they pick the best player available, which is Laviska Shenault out of Colorado. Obviously, the injury concerns, but the Bengals, they take a shot on him. You could see Jalen Reagor here, but I have the Bengals going with Laviska Shenault out of Colorado. Obviously, they have A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd, but I think they sort of move on from John Ross here, or at least give him some competition, and pick Laviska Shenault. So 34, this is a guy a lot of people are forgetting about, which is T. Higgins out of Clemson. And people are, as you see on the bottom, getting more excited about Brandon Ayuk and Jalen Reagor, but I have T. Higgins above them both. So the Colts here, they grab a wide receiver to go opposite of T.Y. Hilton. Okay, they get a weapon for Phillip Rivers there, and yeah, they just improve their offense with that pick, in my opinion. 35. Player with a lot of first-round hype, which is defensive tackle Ross Blacklock out of TCU. So this is a great value for the Lions to get a first-round caliber player at 35. Big need. They add to their defensive line in this draft. 36. Offensive tackle Josh Jones out of Houston. You could see Austin Jackson here. This is what would happen if they pass on an offensive tackle in the first round, which is honestly not that bad, honestly. You miss out on Wills, but you get Josh Jones, who's also really good. You also could see Austin Jackson. So this is a hypothetical that if they go not an offensive tackle at number 4, they get one of these 2 guys here, but otherwise they'd go with Wills and somebody else here. 37, I forgot about Trayvon Diggs the first time I did this mock draft, and it's like not that I have him ranked lowly. I have him ranked in, pretty highly, but I just skipped over his name, so I sort of had to adjust to everything. But Trayvon Diggs, I have going number 37 here, but here you could also see a trade down, or if they like a quarterback in this draft that doesn't go in the first round, but I have Diggs going here at number 37. We got another trade here at number 38, which is the Panthers moving back 10 spots. They also pick up 4th round pick. They move back here and they take Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle out of USC. The Jets move up, get their guy. They pass on Becton in the first round, but here they get Jackson out of USC. And you look at what they just did here, and wow, I like this for the Jets. I really like this. You add Judy, you get your wide receiver, and you still get your offensive tackle, Austin Jackson, and you're surrounding, well, first of all, you get a USC guy protecting a USC guy, and you get just all these weapons for Darnold, and you still have Le'Veon Bell. So that's a great first 2 picks of the draft for the Jets. So at 39, I have offensive tackle Isaiah Wilson out of Georgia going here. He's getting some first-round hype. I think it's a little overrated, but I have him right behind, those other 2 tackles Josh Jones and Austin Jackson, and this is where the tackle run in round 2 begins. You're going to have that tackle run in round 1. This tackle class is one of the best we've seen in recent years. Honestly, I think you've got 11 or maybe even 12 guys that will go in the first 2 or 3, probably 3 rounds. So you see Isaiah Wilson here. Their offensive line is bad. It's bad. When Eric Flowers is probably your highest paid and best, and they paid him $30 million? That is not good. That is not good. I'm sorry, but that is not good. So they pick Isaiah Wilson here and get some help on an offensive line. And Marlon Davidson here. I've seen Matt Abuike to the Texans, but in this case, Davidson is still on the board. So you take possibly one of the best players available in this spot. He can play defensive tackle or edge rush. So it's just a nice pick there. You fill a need with Reader gone, and it's one of the best players available. Antoine Winfield. I love Antoine Winfield. He is a playmaker, and the Browns get an absolute steal here. And he adds so much to that ball hawking free safety position, and when you bring in Carl Joseph, you can stick him at strong safety and you put Winfield at free safety, and you've got a nice safety duo, and the Browns could be looking up this season if they did that. 42, sort of a best player available situation. Like I said with the Jaguars, they're just going to be picking a need and best player. That's what they're going to be doing. So Neville Gallimore, Oklahoma. It's a nice pick. They need a D tackle, I guess, but I mean, I know they have a lot of guys there, but it's the best player available. I do think he's better than who they have there. You know, you can sort of forget about Taven Bryan. That was a bust. But I think they lose Campbell, so they need to replace some of that on the defensive line. So that's what they do here. Trade. The Bears are gonna move down, and the Broncos are gonna move up to pick wide receiver Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State. He falls in this situation. I think he's getting a little overhyped, so he falls here to the Broncos, and whoo, that's a nice, young, explosive offense. You think of what they got there. You got Locke, and then you bring in Melvin Gordon, and then you have Lindsey, and then you have Cortland Sutton. Then you put Ayuk on the other side. You still got Deshaun Hamilton, and then you have Noah Fant at tight end. And you still have Garrett Bowles at tackle and some other young, Juwan James at right. And wow, that's and they bring in Graham Glasgow. The Broncos offense would be pretty explosive if they bring this Brandon Ayuk in. So I love that pick for the Broncos, and it's a good move for the Bears. Just I didn't see someone that really they'd overdraft somebody, so that's a good move for both sides. Colts here, they take a quarterback to develop behind Phillip Rivers. I know they have Brissett, but like I said, Eason here, you can let him sit and see if he's your, future, because Rivers isn't your long-term option. I think that's sort of a, we're going to try to win the Super Bowl this year type of move. So they picked their possible, it's a possible future guy here with Jacob Eason. And at number 45 here, you just add more to the Bucs offense, and you bring in running back J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State. He can add a little to the receiving game, and this is just a nice way to surround Tom Brady. You've got your 2 wide receivers, you bring in a running back, you bring in an offensive tackle, and that's just a great upgrade for their team. 46, this is what you get for moving down. You get some nice value here. You get A.J. Terrell out of Clemson. You could see him at 43, but I have them moving down and still getting a great player, and that's just, I like that. It's, he's a first-round caliber player. I'm seeing him a little too much in the first round, in my opinion, but that's what they do here, and they get a great cornerback, and that defense, tries to recover a little bit. 47 is where I have the Falcons going to pick Justin Madubuike of Texas A&M. You have Grady Jarrett there. I think he could be a little similar to Grady Jarrett. So you put them together, and he's a better defensive tackle than Deidre Senat, who is your current second. That's just an upgrade for them. Here is a reach. I'm going to say this is a reach, but I have the Panthers taking Robert Hunt. He's got experience at tackle and guard, and they need guard help. As I covered in their video, they need guard help, so they do that here with Robert Hunt out of Louisiana. And another one. This is once again a reach, but looking at the needs, they need one. And Netane Muti would probably go top of the second. You could go late first even, if there wasn't the injury concern a little bit here. So like I said, this is a big reach, but both of those teams need guard help. Here, you had Ramon Foster retire, so you need to fill that gap. So you take him here, you keep DeCastro right, and you get your left guard replacement for the Steelers. 50. This is just a nice value pick here, which is the Bears going with Ashton Davis out of California. He is, I think, a really good player at seeing the ball. He can make some plays, and this is, like I said, just a good pick for the Bears. He is just a playmaker, and you add 2 pieces to that secondary to help upgrade. This is where I have edge rusher Julian Aguara going out of Notre Dame. He goes number 51 to the Dallas Cowboys. I think they just need an edge rusher. I'm not sure if Aldon Smith or Randy Gregory, if not even one, is going to play. Like, Aldon Smith is not officially reinstated, so that's not a for sure thing. You've got DeMarcus Lawrence, but what else do you have? So, I think they bring in an edge rusher here. You could see Terrell Lewis, but I like Aguara more. And he's I think, a little bit more athletic. And I think he's got more opportunity to play linebacker as well. And I think he's just a better player, given the injury risk of Terrell Lewis. Speaking of Terrell Lewis, I have him going one spot later. So, they're very close, but I do have the edge going to Aguara. And so, I think the Rams can have their choice of which one, goes. If they're both gone, then they're going to have to maybe reach a little bit. But I have Terrell Lewis going to the Los Angeles trash can logos. Oh, my bad. Sorry, Rams fans, but you're going through a lot right now with the logo change there. So, the Los Angeles Rams pick edge rusher Terrell Lewis out of Bama. This is a nice pick for the Jaguars. They do it again. They just take best player available, and wouldn't you know, they end up with an absolute playmaker for Gardner Minshew, whoever their quarterback's gonna be. That's an absolute playmaker right there. He's got speed, and he just would add to that offense. You got Chark there, you've got Keelan Cole, and you just keep adding more pieces to that Jaguars offense, and you could do something. This is where I have Curtis Weaver going, which is the Bills here at number 54. Like I mentioned in the video, they brought in pass rushers, but I don't think they brought in a top-tier pass rusher, and I think Weaver could eventually become a top guy, but I have him going number 54 here to the Buffalo Bills. Number 55, I really love this pick, which the Ravens going with KJ Hamler out of Penn State. I think he would add a lot to their offense, and it just would be an explosive addition and can fit that offense. You've got Marquise Brown, you have the Willie Snead, and Miles Boykin, but I think that you can add another one there, KJ Hamler. This is where I have Chase Claypool. This is an interesting one. I know they already have a lot of weapons there, but it's one of the best players available, and he can play tight end too. I know you have Hawkinson, but you can so you can have him play backup tight end, 2 tight end sets, and you can have him play wide receiver. I know you've got Galladay and Jones, but Jones is not for sure going to be there much longer, and Amendola is up there in age, so he's a physical wide receiver that you could see going here. And the Los Angeles Rams here get a very nice pick, which is Noah Igbinoghene. That's how I say it. I hope I don't think that's right. But let me know, please. But he's a great player. This dude is a great player. He can also play kick return a little bit as well. So this is just a nice player for the Rams. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your last name, but great pick here for the Rams. And so with I really like Noah going to the Vikings here at number 58. That would be a great pick for them, but he's gone. So they take cornerback Damon Arnett. They passed on a corner in the first. They got to pick one in the second or the third. So they go with Damon Arnett here out of Ohio State. Seahawks, they go offensive line again. They need some offensive line help, so they go with the offensive tackle Prince Tagovailoa out of Auburn here at 59. That's just a nice pick. They need an offensive tackle badly, so they get their guy at 59. 60, this is a guy that you guys may not know much about, / he's fallen a lot. You know, he used to be close to the first round, and now he's falling a lot. I still think he's a second round player, which is Nick Harris out of Washington. And the Ravens need a center badly. You know, they did, I think they were able to bring back Skura, I think, but it's a little bit of a struggle there. And they could also use him at guard. They literally lost Marshall Yanda, possibly the best guard in the NFL. So they need that help on the interior offensive line, so that's why I have them going here with Nick Harris. Matt Peart or Pert, I don't know which one it is, but he's a good player out of UConn. He's a good player. And the Titans here, they lose Jack Conklin. You still have Taylor Lewan, but you lost Jack Conklin, so you can plug him in right there, right tackle. And yeah, you need to bring in a guy there. Here's where the Packers solving their tight end problem, which is Cole Kmet out of Notre Dame. He is my number 1 tight end, and in this case scenario, he falls all the way to the end of the second round, and this is a nice pick for the Packers. They need wide receiver, and they need tight end, so they get both in the first 2 rounds, and they add some, good receiving ability for Aaron Rodgers there. Number 63 is, I have the Chiefs going with Tyler Biadasz. He's fallen a lot So number 63, I have the Chiefs going with Tyler Biadasz. He's fallen a lot in this draft. There's some injury concern a little bit, but I think he's still a second round player. Used to be a first round caliber player, end of the first, but now I'm going end of the second. Like I said, Chiefs can do basically whatever they want to do. So they pick another nice player here, which is Tyler Biadasz. And 64, people are getting a little too excited in my opinion about him, but I like Michael Pittman, not as a first-round player, but this is a good steal for the Seahawks, end of the second round. It's ironically the same spot they took DK Metcalf last year. And so you have Lockett, Metcalf, and now you bring in Pittman, West Coast guy. So that offense is explosive. You bring in some offensive linemen, and that offense goes from great to even better. And that just it'd be hard to stop that Seahawks offense if they did this. So we're going to go on ahead and move on to round number 3. Bengals here can get the best player available. There's some hype here that Ezra Cleveland could go to Cleveland in the second round, right? No, there's seriously rumors that Cleveland will go number 10. I just cannot believe that. If that actually happens, that is proof on why they are the Cleveland Browns. That you cannot take him 10. He's a good player, Ezra, but you can't take him. I like him in the second round. I have him going third here, but I personally have him below some of those other tackles, but I could see him if you got him above Pert or Tagovailoa, but do not take him in the top 10, please. Cleveland, that would show you that they are the Cleveland Browns. Lucas Niang. Obviously, they have Trent Williams and Morgan Moses, but I think that Williams could be on his way out, so you need a replacement. So Lucas Niang out of TCU is a good tackle that can fill that hole for you. Kyle Duggar, safety out of Lenore Rhymes, small school, and they bring in Okudah, and now they bring in another. I know they brought in some safety help during free agency, but why not add a little more? So they get Kyle Duggar out of Lenore Rhymes. I love this pick. I straight up love this pick. Josh Uche or Ush, whichever one it is. I'm sorry, I don't know the official there, but he's out of Michigan, and I think he could go second round. He released a video to all the teams, and he looked very explosive in that video. He looked like he can move very quickly, can maybe play some linebacker as well. So I have them going with Josh here in like early third, and I think that would be a good spot for him. He could go higher. Number 69, I have Willie Gay Jr. out of Mississippi State going here. He is a great player. He had some off the field issues, like school issues, but he's a top talent. I'm not fully sold that Rule would necessarily bring in a guy like this, but I personally have him above Malik Harrison, as well as Jordan Brooks might be above him now, but for most of the time I've had him above Jordan Brooks, so I have him going here. Number 70, I have the Dolphins. Like I said, their offensive line is really bad, so you bring in Isaiah Wilson, and now you bring in Lloyd Cushenberry to play that interior, could play center or guard for him. They just need that help, so this is a good pick for them. This is an interesting one. Chargers fans, let me know what you think of this, but I have Jake Fromm going number 71, third round, to be their future quarterback. So I see the Chargers going with a quarterback at some point. I hope they don't go Herbert, number 6, but if not, I think Eason early second is a reach. Middle second or late second, I could see if they traded back, but I have him going Fromm here. Number 71. I think he's getting put down a lot, but I think he's still got some talent in there, so give him a shot. Here's Malik Harrison. Jordan Brooks might be above him now, but for most of the time, I've had him above Jordan Brooks, so I am going number 72 here to the Arizona Cardinals. Damian Lewis, same thing. Jags just try to get pieces anywhere they can, so they get some guard help and take Damian Lewis out of LSU. Jack Driscoll is a player I like. I did realize, I think I forgot to cross offensive tackle off, but you know what? I'm going to keep it here. Although, it doesn't make sense for the Browns to take another tackle. I have him doing it. Why not? Just for fun, swing tackle, but he will go around here. I maybe made a little bit of a mistake. He probably wouldn't go to Cleveland here, but he'll go to somebody late second, early third, depending. What's going to be really interesting is seeing where each team values the tackles past the top, maybe 4 or 5. I think then it's going to be really split. I think there's a solid top 6 in my opinion. I think it's the first round guys, and then Austin Jackson, Josh Jones, but then behind that, I think it's going to depend on team to team on who they like more. So it'll be interesting to see. Devin Duvernay is a guy that's very underrated, but I have him going to the Colts here. Obviously, they brought in T. Higgins, and they say, you know what? He's the best player available. We're going to do it again. And you add Rivers, you give him so much talent there. You give him surrounding pieces, and that makes it a pretty good offense. But this pick I love even more than that one, which is the Bucs going with Van Jefferson. You keep the Florida man in Florida, and you look at what they just did here in this draft, and that helps Tom Brady a lot. You add Mekhi Becton to protect him on the O-line, and then you grab J.K. Dobbins to play the running back, and then you also grab Van Jefferson to play receiver. With the other 2 receivers they have, if they keep O.J. Howard, if not, you've got Cameron Brate, and that's an explosive offense. Number 77, I have a trade, which is the Rams moving up with the Denver Broncos, and that is to select a running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, out of LSU. For most of this time, I have had him below Jonathan Taylor, but just this week, I made the switch, and I put Edwards-Helaire above Jonathan Taylor, so you can have him compete with Darrell Henderson, and you've got Malcolm Brown there still, but you can have him compete for that starting job. Speaking of Jonathan Taylor, I'm going the next pick. Obviously, there's some insurance issues here with Todd Gurley. He's got some injury concerns, and I think that Taylor is better than Ito Smith myself, so it's a good pick here for the Falcons. Jonah Jackson, even as Chase Young pointed out himself, he's very underrated. And this is a great pick for the Jets. They do some great magic here in the third round. I like that you get Josh Uche or Uche out of Michigan, and then you get Jonah Jackson, one of the best guards in this class out of Ohio State. So that's a really nice picks there for the Jets in the third round. Then I have Bryce Hall. Would be a higher prospect, honestly, if it wasn't for these injuries, but he's got the injury concerns, so you have to lower him a bit. But I like this pick for the Raiders. Add some cornerback help there. So then the next pick, they go with the safety. They go Jeremy Chin out of Southern Illinois. I think, once again, he's got some first-round hype going to Seahawks, but I think he's a good player here in the early. I think he'll probably go late second, early third. He could go higher, but I think I value him as an early third round pick. KJ Hill, you grab him to Dallas. Dallas passes on Justin Jefferson, and then they pass on wide receiver second round. So they pick a nice one here, which is KJ Hill. You've still got Amari, but you paid him some money. But then, you can have KJ Hill involved in this offense. Troy Dye is a nice pick here for the Broncos. They could use a little linebacker help. So that's just a nice pick for them. I value him around here. This is where I value Troy Dye. Jordan Brooks, I'm rising on, so he'll go higher than this most likely, but I like the fit here with the Rams at number 84. So that's what I have happening there. The Lions, they go with Matt Hennessy out of Temple. This is a little, once again, sort of a boring one, but they could use the help. I don't know what they did with the offensive line. Detroit fans, please explain to me, why do you cut Rick Wagner and then you give the absolute bag? You give all the money to Hal Vaitai, who has never been, I don't think, a full-time starting tackle. In fact, I think he was the Eagles' fourth best tackle this past season, and they're going to pay him $10 million a year. And then, you let Graham Glasgow go. To me, you should have kept Glasgow, as this tackle class is much better than the guard class. This guard class is honestly not that good, but I don't know what they're doing there. So I have them trying to replace it with a guard. Don't love this pick, but they need to take one because they need a starter. Cam Dantzler, cornerback out of Mississippi State. I don't think he ran a 4.2 whatever that they said he did, at his virtual combine pro day, but he's still pretty fast, and they need a corner out there in Buffalo, so you bring in somebody. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think the Patriots would value him a little bit more than Tyler Johnson or Quintez Cephas, but I personally have Tyler Johnson and Quintez Cephas, who are also both Big Ten wide receivers. I have them rated higher than Donovan Peoples-Jones, but I think the fit here is better in New England. Let me know what you guys think of this one. How about this? This is a little bit of a bold one here, but just Hurts falls to the third round, and the Jaguars take him. I like it as a fun. This would be fun. I'm not going to say this is the good move, but you already have a fun quarterback with Minshew. But why not take another one? And you got Jalen Hurts. You bring a fun guy like Rager to watch, and this would just be a fun offense to watch. Like, no matter if it's Minshew or Hurts. And then you got Fournette, and then you got Chark, and you've got Rager now, and this would be a fun offense to watch. So let me know what you guys think of Jalen Hurts going to the Jaguars. Ben Bartch is a Minnesota guy, and you keep him in Minnesota. The Vikings need a tackle. Their offensive line needs help, so you bring in a Minnesota guy, and I like that pick there in the third. Bradley Anae out of Utah. Yeah, I feel pretty confident in this pick. If he's not gone by this time, I think Bradley Anae to the Texans at number 90 is something that very much could happen. So he's a good player. Obviously lit it up at the Senior Bowl, made a lot of money because of it. So I think he's going to be a third-round pick, honestly. Tyler Johnson, as I mentioned, he's being slept on by a lot of people, in my opinion. I have him going here sort of middle to late third, so day 2. And I have him going to the Raiders. I know they picked up Ruggs, but they could use another one. They've got Tyrell, and I think that, you can put Ruggs in the slot, and you got Tyrell and Johnson on the outside, and then you put, I know they have Renfro too, but this would be a upgrade for the Raiders. Anthony Jennings out of Alabama, the Ravens. I know they brought in Campbell, but they lost, and Wolf, but they lost Pierce. It's also not clear whether they're gonna trade Matt Judon or not, so why not bring in another one just in case. Here's a tight end here, Bryson Hopkins. He's my tight end number 2. Very close, though, with Adam Troutman to me. But the Titans, they lost Delaney Walker. I like Jonnu Smith better, so I do think Jonnu Smith would start over Hopkins here. But Bryson Hopkins is a good player, and I think this is a good value and it fits sort of a need for the Titans. Troy Pride here. You could see Darnay Holmes. Depends on which one teams like. But I think the Packers could use a guy like Troy Pride in their secondary, and that just gives them an upgrade. So at 95, I have the Broncos going with guard Solomon Kindley out of Georgia. He's pretty raw at guard, but you bring in Glasgow, and so you can start him on the other side. So it's a guard upgrade. 96, this is where I have Darnay Holmes. A nice pick. You don't get Jalen Johnson the first, so you get a nice pick here. You get another corner to help the Chiefs, and so the Chiefs not only just won the Super Bowl, but then they get even better a little bit there. We got a trade, which is gonna be the Browns moving down. They pick up some picks, and the Bills move up to pick Cam Akers, running back out of Florida State. Singletary is very good. I like Singletary, but I think that they could use some insurance. I don't think he's a full-on number 1, so I think they sort of split here. I think they'll lose. They lost Frank Gore. I think so. I don't think they'll bring him back. So they just could use some insurance there. They brought in Tywan Jones, but I think that's what they do here. I like him better than TJ Yeldon on that team. So speaking of Adam Troutman, which we mentioned a few picks ago, he goes to the Patriots at number 98. Small school guy, but you pick him to be that Gronk replacement. He's never going to be Gronk, but it's a nice pick here. Kenny Willekes is a guy I like out of Michigan State. He's a good edge rusher, and the Giants, it's not clear whether they might lose Marcus Golden. It's not clear whether he's coming back. Same with Kareem Martin. So you might have to replenish that edge rush. So Kenny Willekes is the guy that can do that for you. Darrell Taylor, another edge rusher, goes to the Patriots here at 100. You need a little more edge help, and you bring that in. D-tackle, you brought back Jaron Reed, but why not bring in some more talent there for the Seahawks? So you bring in Devon Hamilton out of Ohio State. James Lynch, some people are very high on him, some people are very low. I think this is a good medium, which is late 3rd round. You could see him early 4th, so I have him going to the Steelers. Eagles need a corner as well, badly, so they go with Michael Ojemudia out of Iowa to sort of fill that need a little bit. Raekwon Davis, this is a nice pick for the Rams, falls here. And so, they picked up some Bama teammates in Terrell Lewis and Raekwon Davis, so I like what they're doing there. Sort of the Vikings here, end of day 3. I think this is sort of going to be a luxury pick best player available, so they take safety Kavon Wallace out of Clemson. Zach Moss is a great pick here, in my opinion, for the Ravens. Obviously, you have Ingram. I think Moss is sort of similar to Ingram, honestly, and I like him better than Gus Edwards. So this is a nice, you get some more running back talent and add even more to that Ravens offense. So that's going to conclude round 3. So now we will jump into round 4. Okay, so we're entering round number 4. This is sort of when I'm gonna sort of speed up a little bit. Obviously, my throat gets sort of sore, after talking, because this is like my third time. And right now, the video is looking at maybe around an hour. So I'm gonna speed it up a little, but still talk about the picks I really like, and otherwise just sort of explain why I chose these. Bengals go with offensive lineman Ben Bredesen, Michigan. He could go late third round, but I have him going early fourth. Redskins pick a tight end replacement here, and they go with Hunter Bryant out of Washington, and this is a nice replacement here as they lose Jordan Reed, they've cut him, and I believe Vernon Davis retired, and I think that Bryant will be better than Jeremy Sprinkle, so that's a good upgrade for them. 109, I have the Lions going with Akeem Davis-Gaither out of Appalachian State. Nice pick here for the Giants. They go with Quintez Cephas. I like him. He could go late third round, but I think that he goes early day 4 in this situation, and I like the pick for the Giants. Texans go with Michael Onwenu, guard out of Michigan. It's going to be interesting to see whether teams like him or Bredesen more. Chargers go with running back Eno Benjamin out of Arizona State. They keep him in the West Coast, and I like this one just because they lose Gordon, and so honestly, he can be similar to him behind Eckler. Pick 113, Amik Robertson. I like this pick a lot. He could go late third round, but they need some corner help, and this is going to help them a lot. Cardinals go with edge rusher Jonathan Greenard out of Florida. He's a good player. 115, Browns go with linebacker Davian Taylor out of Colorado. Great pick here. I've risen on Jordan Elliott the past few days, so you probably would go higher now. But Jordan Elliott here going at 116 is an absolute steal for the Jaguars, and the Jaguars do it again. They're just going best player available, and they do it again. Bucks go with a nice player here, safety Terrell Burgess on their first defensive pick in the draft. Broncos go with offensive tackle Sadiq Charles out of LSU. Falcons need corners, so they go with Javelin Guidry out of Utah. Panthers keep the Carolina kid in Carolina with Brian Edwards out of South Carolina. Raiders go with McTelvin Ajim out of Arkansas. Great pick here. He could go round 3. Colts go with Albert Okwuegbunam. I'm hoping that's correct. But he's sort of going to replace Eric Ebron in this offense, hopefully, in this situation. Cowboys go with Laurel Murchison, defensive tackle out of NC State. Nice pick here for the Steelers as they go with offensive lineman Calvin Throckmorton out of Oregon. He's got experience with tackle, guard, and center. I think he can play any of them. So he's just a nice backup lineman. Patriots go with guard Logan Sternberg out of Kentucky. Rams go with Shane Lemieux, guard out of Oregon. Eagles go with linebacker Logan Wilson out of Wyoming. Bills go with Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver out of Oregon State. Ravens go with defensive tackle Richard Lawrence out of LSU. Saints go with wide receiver Colin Johnson out of Texas. Pick here for the Cardinals as they go for tight end Thaddeus Moss out of LSU, son of Hall of Famer Randy Moss. Vikings go with guard John Simpson out of Clemson. Seahawks go with Alex Highsmith, edge rusher out of Charlotte. Ravens go with Harrison Bryant, tight end out of FAU, and this just replaces Hayden Hurst in this offense. Steelers pick running back Anthony McFarland Jr. out of Maryland. Packers pick D-lineman / edge rusher Nick Coe. Jaguars get Travis Gibson, edge rusher. Chiefs get linebacker Evan Weaver. That's a good pick right there. Bucks go with edge rusher Khalid Kareem out of Notre Dame. Jaguars go with linebacker Justin Strnad out of Wake Forest. Dolphins go with edge rusher Jabari Zuniga out of Florida. It's a nice pick right there. Redskins go with corner Asang Bassi out of Wake Forest. Falcons go with Hakeem Adeniji out of Kansas. Nice pick here as the Seahawks go with Julian Blackman, safety out of Utah, and he can play opposite Utah former teammate Marquise Blair. Eagles go with Alohi Gilman, safety out of Notre Dame. And back-to-back, they go with edge rusher Alton Robinson of Syracuse. Entering round number 5. Edge rusher Carter Coughlin out of Minnesota goes to the Bengals at 147. Brandon Jones out of Texas goes to the Panthers at 148. Lions go with running back Antonio Gibson out of Memphis. Giants go with DB Geno Stone. Chargers go with wide receiver Courtney Davis. This is sort of an unknown guy, but Bryce Huff out of Memphis goes to the Panthers at 152. Dolphins go Darrington Evans, running back. 154, which maybe some of you have seen, you might think, oh, all the picks are off by 1 after this. But it's because the Cardinals forfeited this pick in 2019 to get Jalen Thompson in the supplemental draft. So, sort of clarifying this, you may see on websites where this is listed as 154. I made it so 154 is still just there, but it doesn't exist, basically. But the Dolphins technically have back-to-back picks, so they go with wide receiver Antonio Gandy Golden out of Liberty. Nice sleeper. Bills go with defensive tackle Jason Strowbridge, and I love this pick for the Bills. This is also a nice fit as the Niners. Kyle Shanahan can use anybody better than anybody, so he goes with Lynn Bowden Jr. out of Kentucky. Can play wide receiver. He's done some quarterback, and you probably could transition him to running back if you wanted. Okay, so 158, I'm sort of sad about this one, but Kenny Robinson, gonna be possibly the only XFL player of all time to be drafted in the NFL. One of my points earlier in the week before they went bankrupt was gonna be that this could be a new trend, that players could start going almost like, I think a recruit in basketball recently just is gonna go to the G League instead of going to college, and that could have been a thing if players started going to the XFL. But obviously they went bankrupt, so he might be the only player ever to have played in the XFL before being drafted. Jets go with Kaliki Hudson. He can play linebacker and safety. Raiders, Stanford Samuels, cornerback, Florida State. Colts, defensive tackle Jason Cornell. Bucks get an interesting one here. It's quarterback Nate Stanley out of Iowa. I feel like he's a pocket passer. They have a pocket passer there with Tom Brady. I like that fit there. Gabriel Davis is a great pick here for the Redskins at 163, wide receiver. Darrell Williams goes to the Bears. Antoine Brooks, this is also a good value here. He goes to the Cowboys at 165. Jags go with tight end Cheyenne O'Grady. Another quarterback, the Lions go with Anthony Gordon. They don't go with Tua or anybody earlier, so they go with Anthony Gordon here. Vikings take Raekwon Williams. Eagles, I will admit, I sort of forgot about some of the trade picks here. Like, just sort of, I put trade numbers in some of the earlier picks, and once I got to the 5th and 6th, 7th, because I'm going to admit this was supposed to be just a 3-round mock draft, but then I went all the way. So some of these picks I forgot to switch, but just imagine that maybe some of the trades earlier, they go with these same players, but just it's a different team. So, Jags go with Terrence Steele. Then they go Keyshawn Vaughn. They get back-to-back picks here. So they go with him out of Vanderbilt. Texans go Trey Adams. Patriots pick Jacob Phillips. Dolphins pick Jake Hansen. Titans get Bravion Roy. Niners pick Kevin Dotson. Chiefs, Jonathan Garvin. Love this pick here. Broncos go wide receiver again, and they get John Hightower. Great pick. Cowboys get Jared Pinkney, and now we're on to round 6. Bengals pick Marcus Bailey. Broncos go with John Pennicini. Lions go with Malcolm Roach. Giants go with DJ Wonnum. Love this pick here for the Panthers. They go tight end Josiah DeGara. I think he's a sleeper. Dolphins, Justin Herron. Chargers, David Woodward. This guy, okay, I was going to have him Leki Fotu. I was going to have top 4 rounds, but then I watched a video by Voch Lombardi, and I watched the film on him, and he's not good. But I still have him there, but he's just not good. Bills go Shaquille Quarterman. Jags, Khalil Davis. Love this pick here. Eagles go A.J. Dillon, almost like a Jordan Howard replacement. Jets go Juwan Jennings. They add another receiver to this team. Packers, once again, also double up on receiver. They go Tristan Jackson. Colts, Zach Shackelford. Bucks, Josiah Coatney. Patriots, Harrison Hand. Bears, Isaiah Coulter. Nice day 3 sleeper wide receiver here. Colts, Josiah Scott. Steelers, Mike Dana. Rams, Tyree Phillips. Bears, Trayvon Hill. Bills, tight end, Dalton Keene. Cardinals, Joe Reed. Saints, John Reed. Patriots, Danny Pinter. Vikings, double up at corner, Lavert Hill. Jags, Lamar Jackson. Okay, I'm going to point this out really quick. There could be a moment next year, on the same day, technically. I don't know if it's probably not with the schedule, but like, Josh Allen could sack Josh Allen. Obviously, that's already a thing. Lamar Jackson could intercept Lamar Jackson. And A.J. Green could line up against A.J. Green. Just think about that for a minute. Vikings, Simon Stefaniak. Nice pick here for the Packers. They go LaMichael Pirine. Nice value. Then they go Charlie Heck. Cameron Brown to the Niners. Jets, Dane Jackson. Nice pick here for the Patriots. They go safety J.R. Reed. He's pretty underrated. Then they go Benito Jones. Seahawks, Kobe Parkinson. And now we're on to round 7. This is it. James Proche to the Bengals. J.J. Taylor to the Redskins. Cameron Clark to the Niners. JaMycal Hasty to the Giants. I like that one a lot. I'm rising on him a little bit. Cole McDonald to the Vikings. This is an interesting one. Cole McDonald is a complete project. He's a complete project, but I feel like everybody on the Vikings, quarterback-wise, is very conservative, so you get a aggressive player. I'll just say that. Chargers go with Tristan Colin Castillo. That's an interesting face mask. Tier Tart goes to the Panthers. John Molchen to the Cardinals. Benjamin Victor to the Jags. Reggie Robinson to the Titans. Austin Mack to the Ravens. Jake Luton to the Bears. Quarterback, just a backup. Shaheem Carter to the Dolphins. Francis Bernard to the Falcons. Cordell Iwuagwu to the Redskins. James Morgan to the Patriots, as they don't really go, they get Jordan Love, but they take another one. Kamal Martin to the Cowboys. Steven Montez to the Steelers, another quarterback project. Ankrum to the Bears. Jalen Elliott goes to the Rams. Scott France to the Lions. Dustin Woodard to the Packers. Evan something, sorry, I don't want to butcher that name, to the Titans. Tight end Devin Asiasi goes to the Giants. Kyle Murphy, good value here, goes to the Bills. Texans, Steven Sullivan. Patriots, Javarius Davis. Another quarterback project here. You take shots in the 7th round, 6th round. You just take chances at quarterback. So you go Brian Lewerke. Titans go DJ Dallas. Browns, Donnell Stanley. Niners, Kez Watkins. AJ Green goes here to the Dolphins. Brian Cole II to the Giants. Texans, Jordan Fuller. Vikings, Marquez Callaway. And I'm going to say this right away. If there's a quarterback in this draft that, at least like build-wise and style is similar to Watson, it's honestly Tyler Huntley here at the end. So I think that they're both sort of mobile. And he's, so just in case anything happens with Watson, you get a backup. I'm not saying he's Deshaun Watson. He's nothing close. But it's a nice backup fit there. Dolphins, Sean Bradley. Nice pick here for the Broncos. They go Tanner Muse out of Clemson. I like that one. He's pretty late in this one. Vikings, Michael Pinkney. Broncos, Tipa Gallier. And Mr. Irrelevant is Shea Patterson, quarterback out of Michigan. Once again, a quarterback flyer. So let me know what you guys thought of this video. It's a long one. My voice is just sore from this. I've recorded this multiple times. It's going to be my longest video. I think it can be uploaded, though, as one to YouTube. But this was my longest edition of it, and I felt I wanted to really go in-depth. So I sort of sped through the last rounds, but I feel that I wanted to talk about the first round and a little past that. And I really wanted to talk about the top 20 for sure, sort of explaining about the player, and then after that, sort of just show what I think could happen. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens in this year's draft. I think certain positions are really deep, certain are really thin in this draft. So I do think the wide receivers and offensive tackles are some of the best we've seen in a recent time. But other positions, I think the interior offensive line, as you see, I took a lot of them in the 7th round, but if I were to go back, I maybe wouldn't, and I would just pick up them in undrafted, because honestly, the last 5 or at least 3 or 4 did not really deserve to be drafted, but they had a little bit of a need there, so I took them. But this guard class is not great. The quarterback class is interesting. I think we'll see a good amount go early, but after that, I think you've got a big drop off after. I think you'll see, everybody go in the top 3 rounds, and then you'll see Gordon and Stanley go sometime in the 4th and 5th, and I think everybody's going to go 6th or later after that. And it'll just be a bunch of guys in the same tier, so it's scrambled up. But yeah, I think we'll see the edge rush class. I think is decent. I think that is an interesting one. But besides that, yeah, that's sort of what I think. Corner is also interesting. Got a lot of guys that'll go top 50 or so. But let me know what you guys think. Did I do well for your team? Should I have done something different? I took some bold takes in this one, but let me know what you thought of it down below. And I'm excited for draft season, and this is probably going to be my last video before the draft, so I thought I would, do a big one here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. And I got this soul.